Hey, True Believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with Wolverine issue 27, and I'm glad to finally have this comic book in my collection. Now, one thing I want to ask you all, according to my database where I pull my comic books, you can log your books or whatever, it says this is a key, which I get. This is a really hot book to find, and the story in and of itself is not, and I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments, but the reason I believe that this is a key is because this is one of Jim Lee's earliest Wolverine sketches, and it's one of the most iconic. So I think that's what makes this comic book a key. But with that said, this is part one of the Lazarus project. The print date on it was July 1990. And then also what made this book, at least for me, very special, well, let's go down and talk about the talent on this book other than Jim Lee doing the cover. Joe Duffy, writer, John Buscema and Dan Green doing the art, Ken Brisniak doing the lettering, and Glynis Oliver doing the colors. Bob Harris was the editor. Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief. So big names on this book. I mean, at this time, 1990, Jim Lee was still kind of up and coming, but to have John Buscema doing these pencils was just like, yes. And of course, anytime you have Tiger and Wolverine as Patch, you know that you're in for a good time. So at this point, the world still believes the X-Men to be dead. And here it says, as far as the outer world knows, he's a dead man. Here in this tiny island kingdom of Madripoor, this den of thieves, which is half a romantic fantasy and half of an inferno, he hides one of his eyes and goes by the nickname of Patch. In truth, he is Wolverine. I am told he is the best at what he does. So Tiger and Logan are up against these thugs. They think that, anyone trying to go to the Princess Bar, they could just stop and mug. And I just love the confidence of Logan. He goes, you sure you gents want to do this? And we see a silhouette and it says, I should not get involved. Patch and his lady might not need my aid. And in helping them, I could arouse the ire of one whose ill will I cannot afford. God, it's been a long time since I've heard anyone write stories like that where, think about it. When we read a lot of modern comics now, the dialogue just feels, and this is not all, so don't think that I'm lumping this as a whole, but most of mainstream modern books, a lot of the dialogue is straightforward, or it's kind of that millennial, like, oh, this is Seuss, or JK, it feels very jokey. But here, in helping them, I could arouse the ire of one whose ill will I cannot afford. Oh, that just hits. So here, guys attack. Logan takes them down. And then they're asking Tiger. They don't know who she is. Wait, first, we see this woman. And if she doesn't look familiar to you, that's Karma of the New Mutants. I can't let this happen. Though my poor gifts are not equal to Wolverine's, I must use them now as best as I can. So she uses them to take out some of the thugs. And then they're asking Tiger, they're like, why don't you give us a kiss, honey? She goes, should I kiss you, little vermin? Tell me quickly, is that what you truly want? Pops his adamantium claws. Mother of heaven preserve us. It's the Tiger. Tiger. Forgive us, lady. I swear we didn't know. Just standing there, showing the power of the crime boss that she is, Logan being the muscle, and these thugs just realizing that they screwed with the wrong people. Now, what I like here is the writer kind of keeps the way Chris Claremont was writing Patch when he was first introduced in Wolverine #1. And as we saw Karma a moment ago, her being in Madripoor, I like how Logan immediately recognized her. He goes, except of course, you, Karma, and I can trust your discretion. I like that new perfume you're wearing. Didn't need it, but thanks for the help. And she's stunned. He knew I was there. Truly, as they say, his senses are as keen as an animal. He trusts me not to reveal his secret, and I must trust him to keep mine. That I just use my powers to save the life of a crime lord, a woman who is rival to a man I hate. In America, in a happier time, I knew Wolverine. He is a mutant, like myself. His natural power is augmented by adamantium steel weapons and reinforced bone. In America, I was part of a team of young mutant heroes, fighting for all that we believed in and knew was right, until my brother and sister, Leong and Naga, were kidnapped from our home, and I could find no trace of them. And so I've been forced to turn to my uncle, who is a wealthy and has friends all over the globe. Help me in my search in return for my soul. That's some damn good writing right there. It brings people, and I've said this before, every comic you pick up should be your first to be able to kind of get an idea of what's going on. And here, even if you haven't read how Karma left the New Mutants to join her uncle in her search for her family, you get the concept. Same if you haven't read where the X-Men went through the Siege Perilous and the world thought them dead after the fall of the mutants. You get the idea that they're hiding in secrecy. And then we get back into the story. That's just a little tidbit, kind of one of those in the meanwhiles. And this is where we're introduced to the Princess Bar. We see Jessica Drew and her friend Lindsay. And they're introduced in the early parts of Wolverine when he came to Madripoor and why Jessica Drew was here and why her friend Lindsay was there. And they kind of got jobs. Well, at least Lindsay got the job at the Princess Bar. We find out that Jessica Drew becomes a bodyguard for a rival crime lord. And Lindsay's gotten a little too comfortable. And Logan's saying she needs to watch her mouth around Tiger. There's only so much that I could do. And she's like, if she's so bad, then why do you hang around her? He goes, unlike you, I don't have any friends here. My enemies could be used as hostages. Tiger gets out of line, I'll handle her. But I don't need any out-of-league Americans. And it's a different tone with Jessica Drew, and I wish that she would have stayed around in Madripoor, but they moved. I don't know if it was a writer's choice or Marvel's choice to bring her back to the Avengers. But it was just nice to see the three of them working together, especially during the era of Joe Fixit, which we'll eventually go over. And then here's when the Lazarus Project begins. We are brought to the village of Rumica, which is right off the shores of Madripoor. This guerrilla warfare, they're asking them to protect this thing called the Master Form. And they're saying that we want to hide it here because the people of Rumica are known as to be excellent, legendary fighters. And they say, we'll protect the Master Form at all costs. And then here we again see Karma and her work with her uncle. And I like these meanwhile, it kind of brings the whole world together. And then with Jessica Drew, we find out how she's brought back to America, which I don't want to give away. Just know that it's not in good affair, which is really heartbreaking, but it sets Logan on a path to find out what the hell happened. It kind of makes him just disregard his secrecy as Wolverine. He goes, there's a new machine, and I hope it's not made of adamantium. And the artwork, I mean, look at this absolutely gorgeous work. Action lines, penciling, inking, coloring. And Logan knows that he's met his match. He goes, what are you? Which makes him actually have to flee. And it's a great way to end this first part of the Lazarus Project and how everything is coming together. So guys, as I said, it's a great read, but as you can see, there's no key moments other than maybe Jessica Drew returning to America. But I think overall, I think it's because of the early Jim Lee work. But if you're like me and you're a good story chaser, this is definitely up your alley. And if you'd like to go over the rest of the Lazarus Project, which I think I have, let me know down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and grab a copy, or wherever you enjoy picking up your books. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little adamantium bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback. down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.